All right. So hi, welcome. It's ATK Weekly meeting number 19. We do not have a lot of things to discuss today. Just looking at a couple of issues. All right. Let's start by looking. Oh, I have to present. Let's start by looking at the localization update. So, was there any update on localization and integrating it with a localized platform?
From what we said last week, we can integrate that because they have a similar syntax. But I was so busy in the last days, and I can't continue on that. But I will continue for sure. Imas probably. Imas probably was.
He won't be involved in this. I think he was busy with other things. But yeah, so from the last meeting I said I will try to get in touch with these guys, but at the end I couldn't find any time to do that. I'll try doing it this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after the integration is in place and all the Git hooks are configured, we can then I can pass the issue to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just carry on and make sure it's correctly integrated, so we can discuss within that issue itself.
Okay.
All right. The next one is 108, which is an add solution to the ATK exceptional UI. I think someone else can do that. Philip, assign to Philip. Nothing done.
No, nothing new. But I think it's really good for newcomers and for not newcomers.
Yeah. My only concern is how does it play with localize, but I guess we will see. Just need to do localize first. Okay. Next on, I have data 447. That is reference get caption.
Yes. Practically, if you have a relation in the model and you define in the, let's say, the master model, a definition of caption of the related field, and you pass this relation to another model, when you put the master model in the grid, you have to redefine that the caption of that field, which I think is wrong, because if you get, for sure, the relation is not the entity of the field, but when I get the field, I want at least the caption of the field to be not redefined. I think it's clear there what I have done and what I accomplished in the PR. This is another thing.
You were asking in the channel, I think yesterday, maybe a few days ago, about the PHP Storm and how does it compare with everything else. Well, it costs. You have to pay every month for PHP Storm. But I think it's only fair, and I have a license for myself. I don't mind paying. They have so they try to sell you a commercial license, which is much more expensive than personal one. But it is possible to find a personal one. It's much more affordable.
No, if you have a project that is followed or have a community behind an open source project, you have a free subscription for PHP Store.
Really?
Even more, every student, if there is in the team someone, if is a student, can take a free license when they meet these requirements. I mean, a student, only a student. It's not a really big deal. I mean, for what you can accomplish with the software, we throw more money on other things. In my case, cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which I think is really fair.
Yeah,
really
students and
fair.
teachers free class.
Yes, look at the right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can. I can actually get in touch with them. It's a good idea. Maybe we can get like organizational license, and at least we get benefit for the contributors. We give them a license.
No, and much more. I think everyone of non-user of PHP Storm, for sure, after some time they use it, can be really, really. I mean, we have a standard of usage. We can make some tools and other things directly for PHP Storm. I know it can be coupling this, but why not? Why not? It's really good.
Yeah. Okay. I'll check. Application have to be project lead or regular committer. The researcher needs the open source definition. No funding. Active development 3 months. Active. Yeah, it looks like we get maybe separate. So if you do apply. New customers. Okay. Ooh, that's yeah, that's it.
I think we have a meat license or something like this.
Yes.
But
Just they want to leave a link to the. Number of license required license 5. So, okay. Cool. So.
we want everything.
Yeah, I get everyone.
Next year, if I have time, I want to accomplish one thing. I mean, learn Russian.
Why?
We can speak later. The only things I know is спасибо.
Well, that's good enough.
I wouldn't recommend you to paste the license ID on video, Romans.
License ID? No, it's what it says. I've used JetBrains open source licenses in our project before. I don't have open. It's a regular license. I don't have, so I'll probably have to. Yeah, something like this.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if they respond. Yeah, but it's good. You know, I highly recommend not because of the code writing, but because of all the other things like executing test suits and modifying dependencies, debugging, stuff like that. It works quite well. Oh, and we were just looking at this. Joe, lots of common changes. Did you address what Dark was saying? Dark posted change request.
Yes, I made all the changes, and there is only one thing, if I am not wrong, on something to. Yes.
I don't fully understand the use case, to be honest.
Huh?
I don't fully understand the use case here.
I mean, I have a relation. I have a model.
I'll have to probably read it more carefully. But it's just, you like measure an article. This
is a bill of component, bill of materials.
Yeah, if you could do it with the invoices, maybe as an explanation that, we always use invoice and client. Maybe we should use that in whenever we writing any documentation or any pull request. Just the standard set of models.
No, but I think it's something that one expected to have. I mean, I have a model. I have S1. No, sorry. I have.
No. Look, what I was saying is that the use case you're presenting, something like measure or component of article BOM. I don't understand what BOM means, and this makes it more difficult to understand the problem.
Okay. I think the bill of materials is something understandable.
Okay. Yeah.
I try to explain better.
I can, because quite often when people review, they just take a look at it, they scan it quickly through, and this needs to switch on your brain. So I'll do it. I'll read this properly. And just idea is to make it as simple as possible. Instead of spec,
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I've seen Iman's working on the fields, things like unique. There was actually some movement on this pull request as well. So Imans is working slowly 2 days ago.
Yes, there's some problem with the servers, he said.
Yeah, but I don't think it's he's ready to. Oh yeah. Okay. I saw Imans checking on the in our Gitter chat.
Yes. Sometimes happens.
Yes.
Like rain in these days.
Okay, but the forum, I'm actually quite rarely visiting it. I should check it more often. Okay. Okay, good. HP store. So I think that's all for the UI. If Imans comes, he can talk about field refactoring, but probably nothing ready yet. Going to the issues from Alex now. Exception display in app and models. This is static. So what is this? I couldn't understand. Call to member function. So what is the problem with this? Alex? I can't hear you.
Alex, microphone.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on this ticket?
Yes, I was using the code which is in ATK Money demo, in which you in the admin area you add the menu to the layout on the left, as you see. And what was happening to me is that when I had an exception, due to the layout, the exception was displaying below the menu, as if you go to the previous screenshot.
Yes, I know now what you're talking about. And my fix is I'm usually going to inspector and deleting the menu.
Yes. So it's a simple fix. It's instead of using static, I just initialize the new app, and I also put the line in the exception title, and it works pretty well for me. And if you see the second screenshot, I also had a problem with exceptions because of the same reason, which were in models. So I couldn't really work. So that's an exception, which usually had the red display and said exception, etc., and had the stack trace below.
Got it.
So
is it also addressing pop-ups?
Sorry?
Is it also making pop-ups work?
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, that's great. Cool. And that's it. Now that's so. So okay, instead of creating a copy of the same class as the app, we'll always create the ATK UI app, which should probably work. Disable. Yeah.
Yes, because it didn't work. If I had it true, it didn't work.
It's full line. Okay, cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's
yes, it's better than untitled.
Yeah. If it solves the problem with the abstracted error messages. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's merge it. Sounds great. Now I'm merging things, but we haven't had release for a while now. Okay, let's look what else we got. Thank you for this one.
No problem.
Okay,
I needed to fix it because I also created a custom exception because I want some exceptions. I want to display them as messages to the user. And when you have the stack trace in it, it's not practical.
Okay.
So I couldn't do that while exceptions didn't work.
All right. So for the issue cleanup, one note I wanted to add is that a lot of issues are actually serving the purpose of to-do list, and whenever we work on something, you look up through the issues and then you include them. So the great thing about that is, for example, let's say I want to integrate Mongo. The Mongo, MongoDB. There should be something. No.
Perhaps it's in data, Romans.
Oh, correct.
Because here we are in UI.
Yeah, you're so right. And I've seen projects which has thousands of issues. Anyway, MongoDB. Anyway, so this comes up with some ideas. So if you want to implement MongoDB Access, you can go over this, and maybe there are some ideas. So if I tried using alternative, the projects here, projects. Okay, so a couple of things like implement actions, and if you go here, and instead of having tickets, there are various things, right, which you just move like that, and eventually get rid of them. So they this still serve as a reminder, but they don't overload the issues. And also, I think this kind of very good layout, like many-to-many. We know we need many-to-many at some point. No one have time, so have it in here. Probably a better choice. So not only we need to start cleaning up the issues, but perhaps move them inside the corresponding projects. If you want to do that, I'm okay. But if it's just closing the issues, I think it will be hard to close.
Okay. In my opinion, I understand what you say. On the other side, there are issues which I think can be closed. I think we can start by closing some issues which are not relevant, or I think I said it a bit in the thread. There are some issues which can be closed. So some issues could be closed, and then about moving into projects, I'm not sure I know very well the project to do that.
Well, let me give you example right here, right? So let me go to ATK 4 and then UI. So there is an issue in here which says, get the stuff documented, as we just mentioned, right? So that's been the issue. And there are a bunch of different things in here. They also are related to some pull requests usually. So pull request is merged, and then the documentation is outstanding. I just understand some people are not very good in writing documentation, so that's fine. If I find time, I can do that. But I feel I need to do the documentation in data first, and then documentation in UI. Now I'm starting a new job in actually on Monday, and the job involves a lot of commute, so I have to take train twice a day. And while I'm on the train, I have about 30 minutes. I hope I get a laptop with me so I can work on something for 30 minutes. If I can just open something up and work on it. So let's look at the documentation here. We could go into project and create a new project saying document everything. Right, and we could don't really need any template. Let's just create that. Add a column to do and work in progress. And then so the column for
the power nap.
Hey, Goro.
Hi everyone. Sorry, it is quite. It's not right time for me. I always try to come, but I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I see. He suggest other time, and I don't mind. We could do maybe 1 hour earlier. I tried doing on the weekend, but it was very hard for me.
No, the day is perfect because weekend. Because right now I'm shifted to another city, and so weekend I'm always on move. The day is okay. It's okay. It's my fault. It's my fault. Please carry on.
Okay. All right. So where we are, documentation, right? So and then someone who, let's say Alex, let's say you can look at this issue, and in order to get rid of, this unstructured issue, you just need to copy that, click plus, paste it inside here, add, we're done. Okay, then go ahead with the next one. And then when someone who is willing to work, he can just open the project here, see everything that needs to be done in terms of documenting, and then move things around. That should be much easier. And from my end as well, I will spend less time on managing things, managing issues, and maybe more time on actually doing something. So my time would be more useful to everyone in ATK.
I can take a look at this. I could certainly convert some issues into projects then, and close whatever needs closing. I won't be. I started closing. I didn't close them, but I started from the old issues. So I sent 3 or 4 issues for closure. I think it's UND months who are in those issues, and I will be proposing closing issues as long as you respond. If you don't respond, I won't propose more closures because I know you have stuff to do. For example, can you go in the end of the issues in the last page?
Let's do it this way. So put the links to agenda like how I did now, like this. Okay, and then we can go through all the items and try close the item, because it's not only me and Niemans, maybe others would like to hear everyone's opinion.
Yeah, I also, for example, now that Govrov is here, I sent him 2 days ago, perhaps, or yesterday. I sent him. Perhaps we can close the pull request, which is open in UI, so we can close both the pull request and the issue. So I think that closing some old stuff is good because it gives us a more clean state in the repository. And for me right now, for me it's chaotic. I enter and I see all those issues. I don't know which are still valid. I don't know. So I like the idea of managing issues either by projects, as you described, and closing stuff that's there for perhaps 2 years, and no one has replied. For example, this issue, it's not even the demo. The problem is not even the demo. It's the description doesn't give the real problem, doesn't give a description of the problem.
Well, so no, the problem is, if I click here and I arrive and file uploads, you see it's not highlighted, so it kind of needs to tell you where you are at the moment. But looking at our demo application in general, there's probably, we kept adding more and more pages, and I've seen the screenshot where we have only 5 items on the left, and it looks so clean. But now there are lots of things, and on many pages you have multi tabs or maybe navigation to the next. This also needs probably some sort of cleanup and actually some way to keep it clean. I think tables had it. No, not the tables. Yeah, there are some hidden pages like CRUDs, which have multiple pages. Anyway, so
I don't think this thread refers just to the demo, but to the ability of highlighting the menu item, which is active at the moment.
Okay,
so yeah. For me, it's a bigger issue than it's not about the demo. Do we implement this or not? It's a question, and if the answer is yes, we should implement it, or we could implement it, then I think that the issue should be renamed, and that we should put it as an issue rather than something about the demo. Add it as a feature request, as something that would be implemented, and not an issue which says the demo doesn't display. It doesn't describe really it. It's more useful if it describes the issue and what we want to do about it.
So about active element of menu, I think it's a feature, but we can work on that when we're integrating standard routing. So if we have routing to the pages, then our pages can be aware of where you are currently inside the application. Otherwise, it will not be a good solution. So it will not work for everyone. Currently, you can add a class to the element in the menu. You can set a class to the item to be active, but you have to do it inside your app manually. The menu will not do it for you. In old ATK, it was done, but it was resulting in many issues, especially if you have a deep page hierarchy, like multi-level, and it simply was unable to detect which page you are on at the moment. So it needs to be done correctly if you're doing that. That's a feature. If we're talking about the project, probably related to routing.
Yes, and page. I also mentioned the page within the thread.
Yeah.
The possible page object.
Yes. However, about the demo app needs some cleanup, and similarly how documentation needs cleanup, also the demo app needs cleanup. I don't know. It's things that no one gets benefit from cleanups. That's why no one wants to do them. So there could be a project. There could be a project in somewhere like this, and if you close an issue, you just replace it with an item in some project.
Okay. The only thing I ask from the team, if the team wants it, is I scan through all the issues, and if I think that some issue needs closure or that it needs renaming, for example, I just add a reply in the thread. And
it's not working because no one will notice your reply. You have to mention it on the meeting, and then we can discuss.
Okay, but that will take much time.
Not really. I think if we quickly go, so as in the last 10 minutes, we already looked into 3 issues, which is great. We're not going to do 100 issues every week, but if we can do 5 or 10, that's more than enough. Yeah, and we just close things like that, and we don't have to spend time communicating, because everyone's here, everyone agrees, unless you guys say, oh, no, it shouldn't be closed, then we won't. Do you agree to that, Alex?
Yes, I'll see if I can turn issues to projects, and I'll keep posting replies to issues which I think might be for closing. And after that, it's up to Imans or you, or I don't know who, to close it, because I won't be closing some. Even if I could, I wouldn't close something like that.
Okay, listen. Once again, I don't want to have 1 or 2 persons who are gods in the project. I want everyone to decide, and we have this hour, so we meet every week. and during this week, I can close the issues with the presence of everyone else.
Okay.
So that's the way how we can address it. That I know this will work for sure. But
okay, I agree with that. I have no trouble with this.
Okay. Yeah. So all you do is find a couple of issues which you think needs to be closed or cleaned up or moved, and list them in agenda. We can look into them and close them. You don't even need to write comments. Simply list them and you can bring it up. We can discuss.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And for projects, if you can also create a couple of projects, I just wanted to double check you have permissions on the repositories. This will help people structure the time and perhaps understand what how it needs to be contributed. It's essentially breaking down issues or to-do lists into similar groups or similar projects. Right. Okay.
By the way, I've seen that Alan has a lot of issues assigned to him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he can tackle all that, but I can't necessarily help at this time. But I don't know if we should stop assigning new stuff so he can complete with what he's already doing. I don't know. It's just I'm just thinking loudly. I don't have a proposition in particular.
We can ask directly to him. I think it's who is assignees. It's doesn't change a thing. I mean, there are tons of issues where I am assigned, and I'm not doing anything there because there's lots of things happening simultaneously, and you want these issues. Again, if they are in the form of a project, then they are not assigned to anyone, and anyone can pick them up. So it should be much easier for the features.
Okay.
Wow. That's some interesting work here. Well, let's move on. Move on. So, Francesco, looks like a very interesting pull request here.
Practically, we have the schema that create the table from the model. I have done something that I taken from FAT3 and is named Fluid Develop. I mean, every time I call the app during develop and this is activated, I can recreate the database behind. And I step in a problem. I mean, every time I create a relation, that relation is created by integer. And I don't want this. I find the solution. I show it to Imas, and I continue working on that. Follow the good part that he has done in the after my first development of table of correspondence, and I tried to solve some issue and during the using in my recent project.
Okay. Yeah, looks. So this looks good. If humans have approved that, I know he's kind of all over the schema. I created it initially, but all the recent contributions were from humans. So I don't mind. We can merge this.
Okay. The other one, I don't remember what is. The other PR.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
For the calling automatically, so right. So if you look inside GitHub login project,
yes,
and can probably look at the image in here.
I try to follow what you have done there.
Yeah, creating some sort of a wizard which simply prepares all the models and migrates them. That's what I found a good way. So whenever you're deploying somewhere live, you just open the file, it migrates everything. It's usually quite safe. But to execute it on every request is a little bit of an overhead. We had the thing called, I think, auto model or something like that, like an add-on for the model. Gobra will probably remember, which would always, I actually don't remember how it was working, but it would be invoked if you have a SQL error and inside the model, and in this case it will verify if the model confirms to the thing. Another thing we had was versioning. So the database version would be stored inside a temporary table, not a temporary table, but like system table. And then when you're releasing, the code can compare to see if the version is outdated, and if its version is old, it will execute the migrators. So we had that as well.
Yes, but it's only in the really first part of development. I like the ATK part of build the models, and after that start to figure out what can be, and define, and you arrive at the point where you have already prepared all the database, and you have write nothing about the UI. I like this part, and the fluid can give me this freedom. I like this part of versioning. But
yeah, sure. Sounds great. Okay. So yeah, there was a question about the state of this pull request, and did Goro leave? He's here. Okay. So yeah, I was asking a few meetings ago. So I had created a couple of models in here for the user and the role, and the question was, do you think that's a good way to do the ACL or not so good? That is my...
So, Roman, my point over is why this is an ATK login module, because let's say if I'm not using login module, I can't use ATK ACL then.
Do you want it into the separate repository?
Because let's say I'm using, right now in my project here, I'm using Laravel, its authentication system, and ATK as an UI and data.
Okay.
And if I want to use the ACL, and because I'm not using the ATK, because to use this ACL, I have to be completely on the ATK from the login to schema and
yes.
Why it can't be part of data? It should be part of data.
Well, my reasoning is very simple. So when the SAST builds the app, it uses standard login, and we also need ACLs and controls. The easiest is if we integrate it here. So it's not only login, but also login with permissions.
But still, it can be part of a separate add-on, or it should extend data, because this is data where you give permission, which function or which action to be assigned to which user. So
yeah, you can have your own ACL. You don't have to use this ACL. If you use different login mechanics, you can also use a different ACL mechanics. This is up to you. But I wanted to have something simple and lightweight. Ability to define roles, actions, priorities, and something that would work in like 80% of use cases. And that's why I was asking, if you can suggest me if that's a good implementation to have or not. I don't actually see how I can separate ACL and have it, because ACL is very reliant on the user and a currently logged user. So maybe you can use a class from here, and you keep using your implementation. So there are other login, but maybe you can use some of the models.
Okay. Can't it be part of application itself, which where you can set your logged in model with logged in user by either this login module or any other means, and then the ACL works on data part then.
As I said, you can have your own ACL implementation. This login is an add-on for ATK data, so if you want, you can clone this and completely redefine it. There shouldn't be anything inside ATK data or ATK UI which is specifically relies on this add-on.
No, because the YML file you were designing, that's a really good idea. It can be enhanced, but it lies in login module, and that's the bottleneck here.
Hello guys, by the way.
Oh, Iman.
Yeah. I was just listening. But actually, I like this idea to have separate ACL repository, which could work nicely together with ATK data and ATK login by default. But as the core functionality would be in a separate repository, I think that's quite good. Why not?
So I define my actions in models, and with this extra add-on, I can implement some actions to be executed by some user, and the user, like we pass duty to every model. We can pass authenticated model to SCL function, and then it's managed. That user can be passed from login module or by some other means where we can load the login user. That's it.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Gaurav, seeing this pull request and the file changed here, if you take some of the code and some of the ideas from this one and create a separate repository, and that repository would be alternative to actually merging this pull request. Right. So
what I can do, I can try to replace my ACL system with these functions and try to keep it kind of separate repository with
yes.
individual atomic. Okay.
Yeah. So if you could create a separate repository which uses which is also compatible with the standard login of ATK, but it will also work with your custom implementation of login. So if it works in both situations, that's absolutely fine. And in terms of fields and in terms of actions, all you have to do is to enable or disable them during the init method, which should be very simple. The UI will respect the settings. So if the field is disabled or the field is read-only, it will present it as such.
So technically, I'm planning to do something like this, but since we are having our launch on this 15th August, coming in 15 days, we are still not pulling our new ATK versions, and we are keeping everything stable. But this is I would have to do in any case the new action system and to implement it to keep my application up to date.
Okay, I'll wait for your repo on this one.
So till 15th August, I'm not pulling anything out, but I have to update ATK up to the recent version anyhow. Yeah, that's it.
All right, good. Would love to see that. Okay.
In any case, I have to create that. So just after 15th, I have to.
Yeah. Okay. Audit.
Okay.
Audit. Okay. So it seems like a cleanup, right?
is something to show the right, let's say, the right values when you see you use the audit. I mean, I take the date time and format based on the UI persistence, and I format with the title all the reference in place of putting out the ID, which is meaningless many times.
Yeah. Okay. Imans, I think it's more applicable to you with audit.
I haven't checked this out.
This is mostly lister, so it shouldn't affect the way what's happening there, but it will change the presentation.
Well, it probably should be okay.
I use it on two projects.
So, Francisco, my question to you, with your old, because you and me are the only one who are with the old projects where ATK starts, and we have to keep up to date ourselves with ATK. So, are you done with ATK recent develop branch and everything's working for you?
I after you was the laboratory rat and we experimented on you and I listened to you. I don't update. Sorry.
but bear with me, Romans. I really appreciate the way Romans is thinking for the starting community, and backward compatibility is there. So if you can try something out, and I can help you out somewhere, because I have done my own fix and in my own app, and it's so far working so nice.
Yeah.
I have some local repository of the project that I have done for the client with the real data, and I can try, and I will say to you if all is okay or there is some problem.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're also using develop.
Just log in.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So one thing, I had to do something strange, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it or not. But when we say shutdown application function, with the Laravel, I had to do some if then else to either echo the code or let the application terminate it very calmly.
Well, what I said even the few days ago, I said that the exit, we need to get rid of the exit because PR7, PR15, we can't make the application working correctly because you shut down the process in place of exit without shut down the process. And I don't know what can be done. I mean, can be an exception. Can be like I have done
to
for
the API, right? The exit is now inside terminate.
Yes. In the call exit, if I remember correctly. In the call exit, we call the exit to exit from. Is the only one point, and I use that point to make the PHP unit to make some unit test. And I put an exception. You see there, the unit testing defined the exit application exception in place of exit 0, and it works.
Nice.
And
not nice. That's not nice. You should do the. Should work around that. You can extend the application with the mock application and override the method. But you don't.
How I did it, if you guys allow me to, I just want to share one function. If you guys allow to me share my screen.
Yeah, 1 second. I just wanted to show how the mock application works.
Okay.
because I did this. Yeah, I did it recently. So extending the application. In your case, that would be call exit or whatever, and you just override the method. You do nothing.
Okay.
But sometimes you have to exit, and sometimes you have to keep the terminated. Okay. I'll share my screen then after.
I think. Yeah, go on. So I think this is a better approach because technically you shouldn't have any hacks inside your main code to facilitate the testing.
Okay, you are right. I will make a PR. I write this somewhere and check it.
All right, cool.
So guys, if you can see this function, this is what I had to override because sometimes in my Laravel application, if run call has been set it before somewhere, I had to echo output and exit, and otherwise I had to throw a exception that handles in my terminate function. So I don't know why it's happening, but it has to be like it. Yeah.
No, we need to get rid of exit. In some way, we need to get rid of that exit.
Well, you can't.
We need to catch.
You need at least once.
Why?
Because in some cases we just need to terminate the application, and so the rule says you shouldn't use exit sporadically, like in random locations, but we're not. We are approaching it in a very correct way. And
so, as you said, the empty terminate function, it is how I am handling it. So when my function is run, it's terminated, and let's say if it's not run once, so it causes this exception, it throws this exception, and I'm doing nothing on this exception. So that's kind of void function for terminate, what you have said. But sometimes if the run has been called in Laravel, I don't know, due to Laravel or somewhere, I had to echo it.
Okay. Yeah, well, you see, because the ATK UI, we're using a very simple format. So when someone starts using ATK UI,
but if you remember in 4.3, we were not exiting anything, and
no. That's because we had that there were no exit. But in ATK UI, if you look at the way how demos work, so anything here is just you require something and then you just start executing things like here. It's not wrapped into anything. It's not member of the class. So there is no way how we can stop the execution at this point and not carry on without exit. And how we can render the application without exit handler. So theoretically, exit handler also is not a good way to do it, but it allows us to have this clean code like this. And
but Roman, this creates one more problem. Exactly. Let's say we have a form and set model, but once the form is submitted, because of this exit handler, I am not getting lines below set model line. It gets terminated inside somewhere, and I don't have something to do after that line. That was the functionality in ATK 4.3.
So if form is submitting, ATK only guarantees that the callback will be executed, not something below the callback.
Yeah, but it's in set model, and previously previously something is not required, didn't get rendered. That's it. But this time it just get exited before it.
Okay. Well, so what can I suggest? Inside the app, we have those flags like catch exception, always run, okay, which is true by default. But if you're using it inside any correct environment, you would set it to false. Probably will set this to false because you would be doing it yourself. And as for the exit, we should probably have maybe a variable which says, should we call exit or should we throw an exception? And if, so yeah, exit application, we just call this instead of, yeah, I think it's fine. As an alternative. I'm not sure.
It's called in this scenario. It was called only by me for the unit test. I will try to avoid exit and see if all work if we catch this exception and exit from the execution in some way. I will try. I never promise nothing, but I will try, because we have many problems to integrate in something that need a response. Because when you
I understand. So
okay.
My suggestion is to simply have a flag, and if the flag is set, you throw it, and if it's not, you call exit.
Okay.
So that's what I have done. If run
called, it's okay. But just guys, don't use exit called, because this has a different meaning. So essentially this allows us to execute hook before exit, but don't do it multiple times, only once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this should be a private method. As for the, that should be private. As for the one you're talking about, that should be a different property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll share my code with Francisco and let's
if
see
you could do a pull request, that's great. That would be nice.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, it was nice hearing, talking with you all. Hoping you have you're not only working but also having some holidays.
So right now we are having no holidays because we have a deadline of April, and it's a huge project based on ATK, and that was my call to keep it on ATK. So I'm the one who is on his check right now.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not getting holidays. Yeah. Would be nice after you finish your deadline to tell in general how do you think if ATK saved you time or made it more complex.
So far, every new developer and new companies which I have introduced, and I've taught ATK to like near about 20 expert developers right now. They are loving it. The developers with 10 years or 9 years of experience, they are loving it. And once I'll update the new ATK version, I'm sure this time this version is gonna rock.
Okay, cool. That's lovely. Yeah, they should come and contribute. Write some documentation on ATK. All right, I have to go. So thanks everyone. I'm stopping the video.
You.